Hi again, guys. Long time no see. Sorry that I'm a bit sweaty. It was 35 degrees out today, and I was out trying to get exercise. But anyway, I just really wanted to make this video, which I promised that I would make because it's the best way for me to express my thoughts about the compound function EN, which is extroverted intuition, but not actual extroverted intuition. It is when people who are on the SENI axis have do behaviors that seem like they're using NE. And I think I was really glad when Auburn came up with these functions because I really felt like it answered some unanswered questions for me, specifically since getting my original cognitive type, and yeah, being surprised by my perceiving access and taking a while to figure out how that could be possible. And this helps answer some of these questions. So I hope that I can help maybe answer some questions about it based on my own experience. Okay, so what is my experience with EN? I would say that I tend to feel like I have a lot of pseudo NE, and the reason is because NE is stereotypically known for coming up with multiple possible answers to a question. Yeah, multiple possibilities or ways that things could be, reasons why something could have happened or things that could happen, or just ways of filling in things that are currently unknown or haven't happened yet with just different, like synthesizing different potentialities, possibilities. And also maybe sometimes, especially in some socionics descriptions for like turning ideas upside down on their head, they say, and although I can't think of a super good example at the moment, I know I related a lot to that one too. Forgot if it was any plus or any minus, but doesn't really matter. Um, so yeah, um, I keep forgetting what I'm gonna say. Yeah, that's pretty much. Um, yeah. So I would say that compared to the more stereotypical SE users, even my SE is conscious, so it's not because it's unconscious. Um, I like I hold back a lot, and I'm much more heady about it. I think, yeah, sometimes when people have, well, so NI, which I don't have conscious, but that's a conductor function. Those they associate with lots of certainty and not deliberating, just going with the obvious thing, or thing that seems obvious. But SE is also seems to be associated stereotypically with a lot of confident action, physical action, sometimes even aggressive action. And I don't really do a whole lot of that unless like it's a rare occasion. So I think, yeah, I just am more heady about SE, and when it comes to NI, I kind of distrust it. If that's what I'm distrusting, I give it. I would another thing I would say is that I give my NI revisor energy. Like I can put revisor doubt into anything. So yeah, try to give an example. So let's say that something happened, and let's say that someone didn't show up to work today, and we're there and we're like, where's Joe? And I will start kind of like I kind of scan the area for cues. Like I know anyone can do this, but I do get very visual when there's an unknown. Like I immediately start like getting like wide eyed and like just like taking in as much sensory information as possible, and like listening for like a gut feeling of some sort. Usually there isn't a strong one, but like there's weaker ones. Like I take in information and wait for it to sort of like gelatin, like when you take it out of the fridge or something. I don't know. There's lots of weird analogies to NI, but I definitely have this process, especially when I learned a better when I learned better about what the real NE and that works with SI actually is, which I don't have. And I see that as like SI is like I see it almost as kind of like a big collection of like building blocks, and each one has a specific color. Well, if it was, I guess, to be more real, each one would have to be unique. Building blocks are usually redundant, but like each one has a specific shape, size, color, and then NE can kind of assemble them into like different theoretical structures, kind of like a Soma set or a Lego set or something like that. But like my blocks, I don't really have blocks. Like I've got like a black box, and then like the stuff is on the outside. The description might have sucked. Sorry, haven't. Um, so anyway, what I'm trying to say is that, so say, okay, we're an analogy, and then we're both trying to figure out what happened, and in any user might come up with some different possibilities of what could have happened. And I think some SE or and NI users are pretty quick to dismiss them, maybe even get annoyed by them, depending on the situation. Whereas I actually value them, because I think like I how do I want to say this? I have a lot of doubt, like, and I distrust the more instinctive functions. Like SE is considered very instinctive, almost animalistic by some, and I have a lot of distrust for that. So what happens is that like I don't synthesize possibilities in real time. I kind of like I have to listen for gut feelings. Sometimes like it takes overnight, and like at least once, like I went to bed with an uncertain question in my mind, and like when I woke up the next morning, it was like, oh, my first thought was like the correct answer to what the explanation was. I don't know how it does it, but I also sometimes I don't trust it. So if there's an unknown situation, yeah, like we're thinking, why didn't Joe come into work today? And I'm not feeling a clear answer because my NI is also unconscious for whatever reason. If the end user comes up with like, well, maybe he took his kids to the doctor, and I don't know. This is not a good example, but I'll just be like, okay, like I will consider every possibility, whether it came from someone else or from myself, because I like to leave no stone unturned. And one thing that I really hate when people do is when they sort of like jump at the gut answer. Like, how do I want to say? Okay, this here's one thing that I hate when people do. Like, they'll be like, let's say, I come up with silly examples too. Some people even think that's any, but it's not. But um, like say somebody tromped through your tomato garden, and through like our mom's tomato garden, and she asked the kids who did it, and nobody said they did it. um and then let's say that she went outside and found um a footprint in there, and it said Skechers. And then she goes to me and she says, "It must have been you. You have Skechers shoes, and the footprint there says Skechers." And then she like immediately like like hits me or something. But that's okay. The example is just to talk about like taking action, or especially incriminating somebody based on what you think was correct inductive reasoning. Um, and I'm very wary of inductive reasoning, because I'm very empiricist. Because in my mind, like what I want is the multi possibilities, because I feel like people overlook the fact that like I could like it makes it more likely. But like say if I went out and I looked in the garden and I saw the footprint, and let's say that I was able to deduce the size, like from comparing it to one of my shoes, and I found that it was actually two sizes smaller. Then I would say that I would, or Stephen could see the number in the sand, for example. I would point that out to her, like after she already beat me. Yeah, so I just like, yeah, I hate it when people just take action just because when they don't have any proof. And that, for that reason, that makes me like not trust my gut intuition sometimes, and look for like, and just kind of want to leave no stone unturned and see all the possibilities so that I don't miss out on the real truth. Okay, this is getting a little bit long. I just have to check and see if there was anything else that I wanted to say about it. Um, yeah, that's about it. Like another thing I like to do is like I like to try coming up with multiple possibilities. So even though like I guess that as a true function, any kind of like happens, like intuitive functions, they happen. kind of like NI just happens, but um, like I'll try to consciously come up with multiple possibilities, just like because it's like an entertaining thought experiment. Um, yeah, okay, I better stop this now. Thanks for listening.